Since the launch of Red Dead Redemption 2 over the past 3 years, Rockstar has had the time to assemble a team together with the specific purpose of remastering Red Dead Redemption 1 on the same engine as Red Dead Redemption 2. But what if I was in charge of the remaster of Red Dead Redemption? What if Rockstar came to me and asked me to lead the team to get Red Dead Redemption on the same engine as Red Dead Redemption 2? What would I do? What decisions would I make? Before we do that, I want to see how you all feel about a potential remaster of Red Dead Redemption. So I asked you all in a community tab poll, should Rockstar Games remaster the first Red Dead Redemption? 68% of you said yes, 22% of you said no, and 10% of you said maybe. Now, before we continue, I want to read over some of your comments because a few of you did leave comments, your thoughts, your views, and opinions regarding the remake of Red Dead Redemption. And I do appreciate you voting as well as leaving comments. It's obvious that I'm not the only one that would love the idea of a remake or a remaster of Red Dead Redemption. Xbox Gamer says it depends if they learn from the GTA trilogy and put more effort into it. It would be nice to have more accessible to the new players, but I also fear the remaster would exclude Undead Nightmare, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did something unpopular like that or purposely separated it to sell it again for $15. But I'd say yes, I'd love to see it, but I don't want to see anyone lose $30 to $40 on an unfinished buggy game. Sedan says, for me, it would be a remake to introduce Red Dead Redemption 2's gameplay mechanics. I don't care about the graphics nearly as much as I want improved variety of weapons, weightier movement, and customization for John. Daniel Bowen says they need to port it over to PS4. Same with a lot of the old issues of the PS3 games. Hate having to get out my PS3 whenever I want to play Skate or Red Dead. The problem is the design of the PlayStation 3 prevents any games from PlayStation 3 being backwards compatible to the PS4. That issue is not the case with the original Xbox or 360, Xbox One, or Xbox Series. Thanks to Microsoft, you basically can continue to carry most of your library from generation to generation. Sony did not do that with the PlayStation 3. However, they did correct that mistake with the PS4, so a lot of PS4 games are backwards compatible on the PS5, and there's still a way you can theoretically play Red Dead Redemption on the PS4. You need PS Now, and PS Now is not very good. So this is one of the reasons why I believe that we do need a remake or a remaster of Red Dead Redemption, because of the fact that it can't be ported to PS4 or to PC in its current form. Java says if they're really going to do that, then they're going to be like the definitive edition. Well, this is theoretically if I'm in charge, Java. It wouldn't be like the quote-unquote definitive edition. Yangi says as long as it's a DLC for Red Dead Redemption 2. And that is a very good point, Yangi. We'll talk about that in a moment. Thanks again to everybody that left comments as well as voted in the community tab poll. All right, so let's talk about hypothetically if I was in charge of Red Dead Redemption's remaster or remake. So the original Red Dead Redemption came out May 2010 on the Xbox 360 as well as the PlayStation 3. It is currently backwards compatible from the 360 to the Xbox One to the Xbox Series. And like I mentioned already, it is playable on the PS4 and PS5 through PlayStation Now. It was never ported over to PC because of issues with the game itself. Now, these are two things I would not do. I would not want to use Grove Street Games or any other developer to remake or remaster Red Dead Redemption. I think that this should be done in-house, and I definitely wouldn't use Definitive Edition to go along with the title. So it wouldn't be Red Dead Redemption Definitive Edition. I feel like that's been tarnished with the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition. I would use something else, either Red Dead Redemption Remaster or I don't know, a cool name. Like, come up with cool names in the comment section. What would you call the Red Dead Redemption Remaster Remake, the official title? Something that's not Definitive Edition. Since the launch and success of Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead fans have been obviously hoping for a remaster remake of Red Dead Redemption 1. If I was in charge, the first thing I would do with my team is rebuild Red Dead Redemption on the same Rage engine as Red Dead Redemption 2. And that's basically the opinion that a lot of you had in the comment section of the poll, is that we would put put it on the same engine with the same graphics, the same mechanics and gameplay designs that were built for Red Dead Redemption 2. It would just simply be the Red Dead Redemption story with John Marston as the main character. I would keep the main story and the side quests mostly unchanged, but we could sprinkle and pepper in some Red Dead Redemption 2 references via the additional dialogue between characters, because there are a few characters that might have to come back in and revoice lines because of new voice actors and actresses. We would keep and reuse the awesome original score for Red Dead Redemption and most of the voice acting audio files with a few exceptions. We would bring back the voice actors for Uncle, Abigail, as well as Javier from Red Dead Redemption 2 to revoice their lines. And maybe even bring back Rob, who voiced John Marston, as well as Benjamin, who voiced Dutch, for additional Red Dead Redemption 2 references. And we would obviously keep Hagen's lines because the late Hagen is no longer with us. He voiced Landon Ricketts. He was also the narrator for Red Dead Redemption Multiplayer. And obviously it would be a crime to replace the voice of Landon Ricketts with somebody other than Hagen. Most of the characters and NPC voices, lines of dialogue from Red Dead Redemption 1 are just fine and can be reused in Red Dead Redemption's Remaster Remake. However, the big reason why I think that we need to have some additional dialogue between characters, perhaps when they're standing around in between missions, is to have those connections tied between the events of Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Redemption 1. Specifically when it comes to the deeds of Arthur Morgan, Sadie, Charles, and a few others that were part of the Vanderlyn gang, as well as key events that happened throughout the story of Red Dead Redemption 2. We don't need a complete rundown of everything that happened in Red Dead Redemption 2, but it would be nice if some of these characters would mention Arthur every now and then, or mention Hosea, or Tilly, or some of the other characters that we encountered in Red Dead Redemption 2, especially with the epilogue, because that involves Sadie as well as Charles Smith helping out John and Abigail along with Jack and Uncle. So it'd be nice if we at least had some dialogue about what becomes of Charles and Sadie post-epilogue of Red Dead Redemption 2. So when it comes to the map itself, this is very similar to my Red Dead Redemption 1908 ideas video that I made a few weeks ago. We would have to rebuild a lot of the regions of West Elizabeth as well as New Austin and Mexico. We would rebuild Blackwater, Manzanilla Post, the railroad camp, Thieves Landing, McFarland's Ranch, Tanner's Span, the bridge that's between West Elizabeth and New Austin, Dutch's Hideout, Worthington Ranch, Armadillo, Tumbleweed, Plainview, Fort Mercer, the rest of New Austin and West Elizabeth that I have not mentioned, as well as Nuevo Paraiso in Mexico. It has to be almost identical to the way it looks in Red Dead Redemption. One thing we'll take from Red Dead Redemption 2 is the animals and the fish and bring them over to Red Dead Redemption Remake, including bobcats in Mexico, because you can't have Mexico without those damn bobcats, and also the legendary animals in Red Dead Redemption. We'll put those into the Red Dead Redemption Remake as well. And the mini games from Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, poker, blackjack, dominoes, five fingers, liar's dice, etc. Hunting and fishing from Red Dead Redemption 2, I think that would be fantastic to add those improved mechanics and activities to Red Dead Redemption. The satchel, as well as improve the weapons will, including the items, as well as the horse wheels for John. And John's weapons, his clothing from the original Red Dead Redemption would be added as well, along with bonus Red Dead Redemption 2 outfits, items, etc., including Arthur's hat, just for something that John has as a keepsake for Arthur. It'd be nice if, once you get back to McFarland's Ranch, you could go into John's chest and pull out Arthur's hat, to wear or to keep in loving memory of a good friend and brother that gave his life to save you and your family. And when it comes to the main protagonist, John Marston, he needs to resemble his 1911 self from Red Dead Redemption, not the Red Dead Redemption 2 1907 epilogue, John, because there are similarities, but there's also some differences that have been pointed out over the years that Rockstar should have fixed, but they never got around to fixing. Well, this is the opportunity for Rockstar to do so with a remake of Red Dead Redemption. We want John to look almost identical to how he looks in 1911. And when we see that John Marston, voiced by Rob, we also want to feel like that this is the same John Marston from the original game. He just obviously looks way better because of the improved graphics and mechanics based off the Rage engine for Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, once work on Red Dead Redemption Remake Remaster is complete, as some of you had requested, I also want to begin work on an Undead Nightmare Remake Remaster DLC. Now, this was sold separately from Red Dead Redemption, and I know some of you are against the idea, but it does take time to build a remake remaster of Red Dead Redemption and then move over and build a remake remaster of Undead Nightmare. So I feel like those would be probably sold separately as separate DLCs, but maybe you can get like a package deal to where you purchase Red Dead Redemption and you can also eventually get Undead Nightmare when it officially comes out. And I would like to use the work we do for the Nuevo Paraíso, Mexico upgrades, like building up all the towns and everything in Nuevo Paraíso, use that as an expansion for Red Dead Online. So a future Mexico expansion for Red Dead Online. Hashtag save Red Dead Online. Because I'm riding around Mexico right now in Red Dead Online in the B-roll for a reason, because it's there. And it seems pretty obvious when you ride around Mexico that they did do some work building up Nuevo Paraíso whenever they were building Red Dead Redemption 2, but they obviously never finished it. It's just sitting there, and you can get across the San Luis through some certain methods I will leave below in the description section in case you're curious. I just feel like that this is just a lot of wasted opportunity over here. It definitely needs to be built up to resemble Red Dead Redemption's version of Nuevo Paraíso, and what better opportunity to take advantage of that than with the remake of Red Dead Redemption. We're having to rebuild, West Elizabeth and the New Austin portions of Red Dead Redemption anyways, along with Mexico. So we might as well use the rebuilt portion of Nuevo Paraíso, Mexico, for an expansion for Red Dead Online somewhere down the road. Now, some of you are probably wondering, well, this is all well and good, GB. I like the ideas you have. Rebuilding it on the Rage engine, that's the same one as Red Dead Redemption 2 with the same graphics, gameplay, all that good mechanics, but set in Red Dead Redemption, keeping it as true to the original game as possible. But how would you go about delivering this to customers? Would you have it as a standalone game, or would it be a story DLC? Well, this is what I would do, twofold. Either A, as a downloadable story DLC that you could purchase as long as you have Red Dead Redemption 2, or you would have to buy a package deal, like you would have repackaged Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption 1, physical copies that you could purchase at stores or online if you wanted to buy the physical copy instead. I just don't see how Red Dead Redemption 1 Remake Remaster could work as a standalone, especially since it's established that we have all these other regions of the 5 states of New Austin that would be included. Now, none of that would be touched. It would remain the same. So theoretically, you could make it to where John could still venture into those parts of the rest of the 5 states of Red Dead Redemption 2, now in the Red Dead Redemption Remake. There would just be nothing for you to do. All the side quests would be disabled the moment you start the Red Dead Redemption 1 story. It would prevent players from doing any additional Red Dead Redemption 2 side quests, so you would have to complete those before you kicked off the Red Dead Redemption Remake story campaign for John Marston. Red Dead Redemption 2 has been out, by the way, for over 3 years now, so you should invest yourself into Red Dead Redemption 2, the main story, as well as all the side quests and activities that you want to complete first and foremost before you move on to everything in Red Dead Redemption. So yeah, as a story DLC, it would work well with Red Dead Redemption 2 because a lot of us still have our downloadable copies of Red Dead Redemption 2. You would just bring back up Red Dead Redemption 2 and download Red Dead Redemption Remaster, and it would fit together. And you would also have the upgraded versions of the towns from West Elizabeth and New Austin that are a little bit different in 1911's Red Dead Redemption. You could still explore the other 5 states, and you probably still have the same shops open as well as dynamics. But as the story of Red Dead Redemption 1 initiates, you're now in 1911. You're no longer in 1907, where the epilogue of Red Dead Redemption 2 is. So obviously the side quests that were in Red Dead Redemption 2 that you did not complete are now disabled. The reason why I'm against a standalone version of the Red Dead Redemption remake, I mean, it's doable, but then you're going to have to come up with some sort of excuse for John to not be able to venture into Big Valley or into the Heartlands, into New Hanover and beyond. I guess you could put like a invisible barrier or something where he dies when he reaches the Montana at the edge of West Elizabeth. I guess you could do that, and you could just make it look like that there's land beyond the river. In truth, there's not, but I'm sure people like myself who like to go outside the maps would try to find a way to get over the river and explore all that extra land that has a whole lot of nothing to it. Very similar to regions of the Red Dead Redemption 2 Red Dead Online map, like Mexico, for example, and beyond, that are barren wastelands that really just don't have anything extra to offer. They're just built to give you the illusion that there are lands beyond the 5 states of Red Dead Online. It would probably be the same thing for Red Dead Redemption's Remake if it was a standalone, but I think it serves better as a story DLC for Red Dead Redemption 2. That way, if you wanted to, you still could go venture into the other parts of the 5 states, and it would also work for everybody that wants to buy a physical copy, but you would have to buy a physical copy of Red Dead Redemption 1 as well as Red Dead Redemption 2 repackaged together. But if Rockstar actually puts forth the effort like they did with Red Dead Redemption 2's Ultimate Edition, it could be actually a nice collectible for players that love purchasing physical copies of games with a nice looking map and, of course, a steel case. You get the idea. And then eventually the Undead Nightmare Remake Remaster would be released sometime later. It's just that reality is it does take time to build these games, even remakes and remasters, from the ground up. And if you're going to first and foremost focus on the main story of Red Dead Redemption, you want to get that right, because a lot of you made good points about the issues we've had with the definitive edition of the GTA trilogy. I don't want to repeat history there, which is why I want this to be built in-house by Rockstar Games with tender love and care, keeping it as faithful as possible to the original game, while at the same time using the graphics, the improvements, the mechanics, and the current rage engine that Red Dead Redemption 2 happens to be on in order to make this an awesome experience for new players and old players when it comes to Red Dead Redemption. I want to do the same thing with an Undead Nightmare Remake Remaster as well. And once that's complete, we could also use the zombies for Red Dead Online, because that's something we've been asking for in Red Dead Online, among other things, for quite a while now. So see, 2 ways that a remake remaster of Red Dead Redemption and Undead Nightmare actually not only appeals to the Red Dead fan base and brings more people to the story of Red Dead Redemption that never got a chance to play the original game. And, you know, those of us veterans that would love to go back to an updated, upgraded version of Red Dead Redemption that looks very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2 to experience the story of John Marston once again. It would also serve towards the survival of Red Dead Online with Mexico expansion, as well as zombies for future Halloween events for Red Dead Online. Hashtag save Red Dead Online. But anyways, that's how I would handle Red Dead Redemption and Undead Nightmares remakes and remasters if I was in charge. Now I want to know what you think about a potential remake remaster of Red Dead Redemption 1 and Undead Nightmare. Do you like the idea? Do you dislike the idea? And how would you remake or remaster Red Dead Redemption as well as Undead Nightmare? As always, welcome below in the comments section.